Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to use a jar of peanut butter to improve your skills on the piano keyboard, to boost your knowledge of music theory, to get better at improvisation and songwriting, chord knowledge, loads of different things. If you don't like peanuts or if you're allergic to peanuts, you can use other things. Pretty much anything in your store cupboard, yeah, like a tin of beans, a box of cornflakes, a pot of coffee. What we're going to be doing is taking little bits of the text, little bits of the words off the jar and using them to write fragments of song. Yeah, we're going to start pretty simply like this. Source of protein, protein contributes to the maintenance of healthy bones. And we're going to move on to more complicated stuff like this. Store in a cool, dry place, out of direct sunlight. Out of direct sunlight. I should have warned you, by the way, this video does feature me singing, and I'm going to be getting you singing, because singing is an incredibly important thing for any musician. If you are not singing, if you're not using your voice when you're learning music, then you are slowing yourself down, okay? We'll discuss that more in a few minutes. So why is using this stuff cool? Why can't we just sit down and write a song about anything? It's because it makes it easier. A song, if you think about it, is made up of 4 elements at a musical level. You've got rhythm, you've got pitch, you've got harmony, and it's all set against an underlying beat, whether that's a tight beat or quite a loose one. Yeah. Now, the good thing about using these little bits of copy off a jar of peanut butter or whatever is that it gives you one of those elements straight away. Yeah, straight away you have the rhythm, because words have rhythm. It's also cool because you have a starting point, you have a constraint. There's not this massive mission in front of you. Write a song about anything. It's just write a very short piece of music using a few tiny bits of these words. Okay, and in doing that, you will find you learn an enormous amount. I learnt most of my music theory kind of at an instinctive level, just composing songs when I was a kid, yeah, often doing this kind of thing. Let's try something really simple to start with. Let's try this little phrase here. Source of protein, protein contributes to the maintenance of normal bones. Okay, so what we're going to try to do just to start with is come up with some sort of melody just using those words. Source of protein, protein contributes to the maintenance of normal bones. Okay, a really easy way to do this is to use the pentatonic scale. So pick a starting note, and middle C is a good one. If you're a guy, you'll probably be singing it an octave lower, but you should pick it up pretty instinctively. The pentatonic is C, D, E, G, A, and back to C at the top of the scale. That's the major pentatonic. And those notes are really easy and natural to sing, yeah? So it's basically the C major scale, but without its 4th and 7th degrees. So let me just try improvising a little vocal melody to start with, starting on middle C, though, like I said, I'll be singing it an octave lower because I'm a guy. Don't worry too much about that. Here we go, right. Ba-ba-bum. Source of protein, protein contributes to the maintenance of healthy bones. Okay, so that was something like source of protein, protein contributes to the maintenance of healthy bones. Can you see how I was just using I did stick to the note to the pentatonic scale. You're going to find it much easier if you're using the note to the pentatonic scale to start with. It's a really good idea to do that away from the piano, actually. Okay, so get the little phrase in your head and then go and clean the car or have a shower or walk the dog or something and just kind of play around with it. That's often how the best melodic ideas turn up, yeah? The other thing you can do, though, is just sit and improvise at the piano keyboard. So I could have sat there and gone... And the pentatonic is always going to give you something that sounds kind of reasonable. Play around with that, and then there are various ways you can learn from that experience. First of all, that's teaching you intervals and to recognise intervals with distances between notes at a kind of instinctive level, which is really good. But you can also play around and try and harmonise it, yeah? So... the great thing about the pentatonic is that whatever key you're in, I've talked about this a lot in the past, is kind of always safe harmonic ground. So you can use any diatonic chord of the key of C major, any of the naturally occurring chords in the key of C major, and the pentatonic will sound at least kind of all right over it. So our C major diatonic chords are the ones built out of the C major scale. I'm probably just going to try and use C, A minor, and G. So just 4 chords. Source of protein. Protein contributes to the maintenance of healthy bones. So we're getting a kind of bluesy, kind of spiritual kind of feel there, which is often what happens when you use the pentatonic, by the way. You often get something that sounds like some kind of folk music, because the pentatonic is so common in folk music. You could play around with lots of different chords there. So get your little bit of melody and try different chords underneath. You've got 7 chords to play with. C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, and B diminished, though you're pretty unlikely to use that one, okay? And you can, if your knowledge is a little bit more advanced, you can extend them, you can add sevenths, you can use substitutions, all kinds of bits and pieces. By the way, if you're enjoying this tutorial so far and you like my way of doing things, I think you'll really like my books and my other piano learning products. You can find out more about them using the links in the description text down below, and also in the YouTube cards in the top right hand corner of the screen. Okay, so back to our jar of peanut butter. Let's try something a little bit more elaborate. Now, a really cool and fun thing you can do is take a chord progression that you know and play the chord progression on the piano and try singing some of the words over the top. And it's actually easier than you might think. So the chord progression, well, let me show you the words that we're going to play around with first. The ones I think are going to work well here are store in a cool, dry place, out of direct sunlight, stir before use. And the progression I want to play around with here is just a variation of the really common 1-5-6-4 progression, which I've made videos about in the past. I'll include some links in the description text below. So what I'm going to do is just play through the chords in a kind of comping style, an accompanying style. But I'll start pretty simple. I'll show you how to do it in a second. And I'm just going to sing the words over the top, kind of improvising on them, okay? Let me just remind myself of what they are. Store in a cool, dry place, out of direct sunlight, stir before use. Okay, here we go. Let's try channeling a little bit of Elton John. Here we go. Store in a cool, dry place, out of direct sunlight. Store in a cool, dry place, out of direct sunlight. Store in a cool, dry place, out of direct sunlight, out of direct sunlight. Stir before use. Stir it up before use. Stir it up before use. Out of direct sunlight, out of direct sunlight. Otherwise you'll get oil separation, and nobody wants that. Okay, so could you see what I was doing there? I started, and if you're not very confident, just start by playing the chords really simply. I've put the virtual keyboard over the top so you can copy the chords even if you need to, and try singing over the top. Try to vary the things you're doing. So sometimes you can make the words quite kind of busy. Stir it up before you use, whatever I was doing there. And sometimes you can use the longer vowels to produce longer notes. Stir. Really play around with it, kind of have fun and see what you can do. Anyway, I'm just in the middle of editing this thing, and actually I've decided I need to take a minute to go into a bit more detail about what I mean by this business of having fun when you're playing around with this stuff. It sounds kind of wishy-washy and a bit vague, but actually it's really, really important. You will find if you play around, if you experiment, if you have a go with some of these ideas, that is an incredibly effective way of learning lots of different skills, okay? The thing about this exercise is that it sounds kind of ridiculous, but you can only really learn its value when you try it for yourself, when you sit at the piano keyboard and actually start trying to work stuff out, okay? That is how you genuinely learn. So many people, I think on YouTube just want a kind of algorithmic way of learning things. Press this button and then this button and then this button, and bingo, you can play the piano. But that's not the most effective way of doing it. Learning through playing around, that's how kids learn. That's why kids play, basically, yeah? Learning through playing around is one of the most effective ways to really deeply grasp things like music theory and chord structures and stuff like that. Also with the singing, I'm guessing that a lot of you are going to be pretty resistant to singing here, but it is so useful. Do please give it a go. If you work on your singing, even if it's just this kind of improvisational stuff that we're doing here, it will improve your ear, and that feeds into everything you do on the piano, whether you're improvising, whether you're reading sheet music, whether you're composing songs, whatever it happens to be. The more you work your ear, the better a musician, the better a piano player you will become. And listen, don't worry if you think you're pretty rubbish at it, okay? If your singing is no good, that's not a problem, yeah? You're only really singing for yourself here. Likewise, if the stuff you come up with when you're doing this exercise, if it's not very interesting, if it's a bit dull, if musically it doesn't seem very inspiring, that's no problem, okay? That's not the point. The point of the exercise is to learn through experimenting, through playing around, yeah? You're not trying to write a hit song or a great symphony or something here. You're just doing this entirely for your own satisfaction and your own learning. Okay, let's look at another one of these. Last night I was playing around with it just to get some ideas together, and I came up with what I thought was a pretty good one. And the text I was using was not 100% happy, call 0800 952 0101. Okay, can we see that? Not 100% happy, call 0800 952 0101. I'm just going to put the jar over here so that I don't forget that number. I can look at it. Okay, right, yeah, here we go. This is what I came up with. We're in the key of C minor. Not 100% happy, call 0800 952 0101. And you can be happy. Da ba da ba ba da bum bum ba dum bum 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 ba dum. That could actually be the beginnings of a song. Yeah, you probably take the helpline number out of it, but we've actually got a little bit of a song to play around with there, and it's kind of quite cool. Notice how I played around with the words as well. Okay, so here it just says not 100% happy, call 0800 952 0101. I added, and you can be happy, or will make you happy, or something like that, which clearly Asda wouldn't put on their jar of peanut butter because they can't guarantee making you happy, but I did, okay? Yeah, I should put some sort of legal disclaimer in here, shouldn't I? Calling that number is not guaranteed to make you happy. Please don't do it. Well, I mean, unless you want help with peanut butter. There we go. Anyway, let me just look at the chords that I used there. Again, really interesting thing, they were more complex chords, but I generated them in a really simple way. As you'll know if you follow the channel regularly, I have this big thing about doing a lot with a little, okay, by creating very interesting musical effects by not doing very much. All I did was start with a C minor chord, and I just took the bass line down, okay, using what we might call a line cliche, something that I've talked about a lot recently, just descending by semitones. But I also dropped the lower note of the chord in the right hand, and look at the chords that generated. C minor, B augmented, E flat with a B flat in the bass. A little bit tricky what you would call that. You could call it A minor 7 flat 5, or you could say it was a rootless voicing of F9. Doesn't really matter. Don't get hung up on what chords are called, please. A lot of people do, but it's pointless. As long as you can identify the chord, what matters is how it sounds. Okay, don't get me started on that one. And then I went down again to that lovely chord there. Yeah, and then that naturally suggested another E flat chord with the G in the bass. And then I played around with the A minor 7, the A major 7 and the E flat with different bass notes. Go up and down, and then I just brought it back to, remember, we're ultimately in the key of C minor, and the dominant chord in the key of C minor, if we're using C harmonic minor as the scale we're basing things on, is G. And I created a little bit of a weird one. I did that, which is kind of G7 adds 9, I guess, or G7 or G9. Yeah, again, doesn't matter what it's called. Yeah, listen to how it works, and then that took you back to the start of the loop. And there's all kinds of stuff you could do with that thing. Have a go with it for yourself. Notice that I'm using a minor key there. I want you to try this as well. Don't just stick to doing stuff in major keys. If you are starting by singing your melodies, just like in the shower or whatever, you will find it slightly harder in the minor because it comes less naturally than the major. But you can use the minor pentatonic, okay, because the minor has a pentatonic as well. C minor pentatonic is, okay, C, E flat, F, G, B flat, and back to C at the top of the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 note pentatonic scale, that's why it's called that. So play around and have fun with that. Again, just kind of playing around like that can really teach you at an instinctive level how chords stick together, far more than kind of, you know, learning it from a video or whatever. I think you should watch lots of YouTube videos. Yeah, watch lots and lots and lots of them. But experimenting like that is really useful. Please, please, please don't judge yourself. Switch off the inner critic. It doesn't matter if you're a terrible singer. I'm a terrible singer. You're allowed to be a terrible singer, okay? What matters is that you enjoy yourself, that you play, that you develop your ideas and understanding in that kind of satisfying way. And you might just discover not 100% happy, call 0800, or whatever it was, yeah, which I thought I was really pleased with that, you know, that might be an idea for a song in future, yeah? Okay, let me know what you think in the comments. If you create some of this stuff for yourself, please, 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 I'm absolutely begging you, post it online and share it with me, because I love it when people kind of watch my tutorials and get inspired and create stuff. Yeah, please, please, please do that. Check out my books, like I said. Check out all my social media, which is below. Also, now I'm on Threads as well, like everybody else, for however long that'll last. So check all of that stuff out. Subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. I really enjoyed doing that. I hope you enjoy it as well.